to say, you got to earn your liberation. Say, Coney, you got to earn your liberation. People will watch, like, people that's ruminating around. Like it, yo, all the starmans, pulse up, earn your liberation.
Yo, what's up, world? Welcome to another edition of Earn Your Liberation right here on, for now, BPM. Stay tuned. And Geechee y'all, Jared Ball, the diva is diva-ing. You know he can't be on time. You know
man. He messed up the run sheet when we start talking about the protest today. He thought that meant protests, so I think he protested today.
Oh, this is his walkout?
I think
in solidarity with the Palestinians.
Yeah.
I
think that's what that young brother doing.
All right, fair enough. There's a lot going on. I've been looking even this morning, and I might try to, if we have time, work some of this in. But I've been looking into some of what's been going on with the encampments, and shout out to everybody. So maybe we can get into that a little bit. Maybe even before he gets here, if we need to add to the run sheet. But and I found another little bit on buying power. So if there's depending on how the morning goes and how much time people have, I would like to maybe we could add a couple things, because shout out to Roberto, man. He had us all up all hours of the night, trying to I don't know, man. There's foxes mating or something. I don't know what's going on, but and when they do what they're doing out there, sometimes it sounds like a little human child is screaming in the woods. That's how disturbing it can be.
So wait, Roberto was cop walking last night?
No, well, he hears the noise and starts barking. So we wake up to him barking and screaming at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it sounds like he's in response to, he's hating. Maybe he's hating. He's saying.
Hopefully y'all don't got that man snipped on that. That's why.
We did.
That's why he mad. Everybody getting it on except him. That's my stuff.
Yeah. He's a little frustrated. His little 4-year-old self is frustrated. Speaking of frustration.
Diallo, I thought you was protesting, man. We thought you was, in your encampment in West on your balcony with your plants and fruits and shit.
Man, I got some torrential rain and my tomatoes look beat down. I put my saplings out, and the day after I put my saplings out, I got like some really heavy torrential rain, and they look all broken and beat down.
Not only flooded, but they got beat up.
Yeah, I should have left them in, but I just wanted them, to go out.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it might be a little bit. They might recover. I don't know, man.
Well, I can give you some of my basil. My basil looking good, so we'll get you right. Tomato and basil. Jared, what you growing? Never mind. We know what you growing.
Nothing. Nah, I don't even grow. I don't have to grow nothing.
You right. Mike Tyson got you. It's all good.
Mike Tyson. Hey, but Tyson said no sex and no weed in advance of this fight. And he said when he doesn't smoke 3 days without smoking, he starts to revert to his old hostile, violent self.
That shit is real. I got a homie like that.
Oh, I lived that life. But the flip side is me getting upset. And I don't know about your homeboy, but it's not the same as Tyson getting upset. So
my homie's he ain't no professional.
So but I hate to admit it, especially in front of the greatest ball chasing hater ever, but this is bigger than boxing. This is Joe Louis, Max Schmeling. This is for the race. This is for humanity. This is for all the universal philosophical world marbles.
Well, technically they're not ball chasing. You talking about the boxing match?
Yeah, well, I'll just put all of the athletes.
I think Diallo's okay with mixed martial arts and fighting, right?
No, you called them gladiators.
Gladiators. Yeah.
Slaves who fight for the amusement and
Right.
enrichment of the elite.
Well,
That's facts.
what if you a black man fighting a white man?
Gladiators were slaves who fought for the distraction of the masses and the enrichment of the elite.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly how I was raised. But all of that aside, this is for the race. It's like
I mean, if you can hitch your wagon to that.
everything, all black liberation is being hitched to Mike Tyson's fight with Jake Paul. That's it. This is it. It's either he wins and we free, or he loses and we just permanently.
It's Islam versus Christianity.
Ah. Clash of civilizations. Yes. And
you think it's small, think big, bitch. Think big.
Yo, so
hey, real quick. My bad.
I'm sick of all this conversion to Islam. It's getting exhausting.
Speaking of big thinkers, quick shout out to Ori and Daruba, who I got to catch up with yesterday. Stay tuned, more on that. Yeah, shout out to both of them. That was a dope afternoon yesterday. So yeah, sitting outside, talking to Daruba and Dr. Orasami Burton. That was dope. So shout out to both of them. See more of them soon, and more obviously around here. So yeah, that was dope.
So we got a pretty tight run sheet. I think all of them link into each other, and then at 9,
like, I don't want to hear about your afternoon. Like,
I know. That's it. That was it.
We got to get it.
Like, hey, man, whatever.
That was it. He playing the ear doctor this morning. We got to produce. That's right. We got to guess.
Diallo came late, and then Diallo gonna grab the mic, and he gonna pull us into a long.
Now I'm taking now. And somebody accused me and Jared of ganging up on you.
Shout out to Ori and Daruba and the joke that in the comment the other day. That was some funny shit. But we'll get to some of our
are we in times of prophecy? I've been hearing that.
I don't know.
Floods,
well, Kim says we're in some celestial thing. Yeah, there's something happening. I don't know.
And cicadas and war and rumors of war.
Umar school fund done. Don't hate her.
Yeah, we in some prophetic times.
Yeah.
All right. So where we want to start then?
I wonder if y'all want to start with the clowns of this response to these campus joints, or do we want to start with some of them?
I got to interrupt this one more time. Just as a quick reminder, everybody. May 19th, live, Nomu in Baltimore. Please check the links in the show description for details, and come on through, celebrate Malcolm's birthday with us. All right. If you're not at Morehouse with Joe Biden, if you're not there,
I don't think he's gonna make it.
You don't think that's happening?
Them students doing their thing right now, so I don't know if he's gonna make it.
All right. Well,
I mean,
honestly, but students,
you can start with that if you want to. Our responses and thoughts to the stuff that was popping off, or the things that are popping off right now.
You talking about the encampments?
Yeah, all of them, and the encampments, and just even campus students and what they've been doing recently.
Oh man, I gotta re-log in now. I didn't realize so I got an article from, okay, here it is. I just had to re-log in. I forgot. Let me just start with this real quick. I was looking at this morning, just a quick recap. The Chronicle of Higher Education went out and looked at how colleges have responded to student encampments. And pro-Palestinian protesters at U of Cal University, UCLA, are pictured here. This is what it's looking like there. The number of pro-Palestinian encampments at colleges nationwide continues to climb, reaching more than 80 campuses as of Wednesday. College leaders are grappling with how to balance students' rights to freedom of expression with campus safety concerns, and an uptick in arrests over the past several days has signaled that administrators are struggling to reach peaceful resolutions. The encampments, inspired by students at Columbia University, where tents first appeared 2 weeks ago, most commonly demand that colleges divest financial holdings from companies with ties to Israel and its military. So just that quick overview, and then I didn't realize. I don't think I realized that it was this many, that it had reached more than 80. So that's dope. Columbia's initial encampment resulted in the arrest of over 100 students and some faculty members. Now arrests have spread coast to coast. At least 23 encampments have resulted in arrests, including NYU, Emory, Emerson, University of Florida. Some have dropped criminal charges, though some, as I was talking about the other day, have suspended faculty, banned them for a year at one of the Indiana universities. 5 have apparently led to campus disciplinary action. 7 students at George Washington, not far from me down here in DC, were suspended Friday for misconduct. University of Rochester, 5 people received interim bans from campus. Cornell reportedly suspended 4 students. 6 encampments have been cleared and then rebuilt. Let's see. 13 have faced no official consequences as of Wednesday. In several cases, local police departments have not interfered on behalf of colleges to disband encampments. Officers in Washington, D.C. reportedly rejected a request from George Washington administrators to disband an encampment, citing the optics of a clash with protesters less than a mile from the White House. So in that sense, when I read that, I said, shout out to them for taking advantage of that. And so when we hear that Howard students have gone down to that encampment to support that, maybe that's a slick thing to take advantage of. 5 dispersed voluntarily, and the Chronicle will continue to monitor. So I just wanted to show that quick overview, which I thought was interesting, before we get to some of the specifics and the idiocy. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I went to the encampment here at University of Chicago, and man, they got some beautiful displays. My goodness, the boards they put up, and no police presence. You know, and you know, the University of Chicago has its own private Gestapo. They have their own private police force for the University of Chicago. They got police cruisers, you know, equipped up. Absolutely no police presence. You know, and even, which is even more unique, because University of Chicago is in Hyde Park, is an affluent area embedded in and completely encased by poor communities all around it. So Hyde Park and the university campus usually naturally by default has a high police and security presence, but they've retracted and reduced the presence of security and police in response to the encampment there at the University of Chicago. But they just resting up for the DNC convention, which they really gonna be cracking heads. So I think that's what that is.
Well, that'll be interesting. And of course, Kamau has called all activists to participate and be prepared to be in Chicago this summer. I have volunteered to host the lives, or to help host the lives of the coverage of that from over here.
Listen, that could impede my travel and my maneuverability.
This guy here.
You guys keep it together.
You're not going to be there. You should be hosting the protests in your backyard.
Damn.
Have you seen that clip? I just put a clip in there about
I can.
The white man talking about got a bunch of little Gazas going around.
Us, the little Gazas that have risen up on campuses across America, and the liberal college administrators and politicians who refuse to restore law and order and to protect other students. These little Gazas are disgusting cesspools of anti-Semitic hate, full of pro-Hamas sympathizers, fanatics, and freaks. The terrorist sympathizers in these little Gazas aren't peacefully protesting Israel's conduct of the war. They're violently and illegally demanding death for Israel, just like their ideological twins, the Ayatollahs in Iran.
Ayatollahs.
I'm curious, Diallo. I'm curious.
Little Gaza is so appropriate. I think they should
Perfect.
they should embrace that little Gaza shit, because that's exactly what the fuck these motherfuckers want to do. They want to, because Gaza is an open air prison under surveillance, under repression, under resourced and over policed. So I think a lot of people all over the world who think, oh, that's something over there. No, y'all all live in little Gazas. And the only reason, you know, you don't recognize the chain is because you don't try to go far enough to put tension on that chain. But the moment you put tension on that chain in your own little Gaza, because we all live in little Gazas, and if we upset the status quo enough, we can get that same treatment. So whoever that motherfucking piece of shit, racist motherfucker, lying ass piece of shit was, whoever he was, I think he's onto something. The whole planet Gaza. The world is a ghetto. The world is a Gaza.
Speaking on to something, I think we've had some back and forths about the fascistic nature of both parties, and you see this thing's going on, the threatening of free speech, students at risk for protests, and Trump is not in office, Democrats are in office. So I wonder, you know, some of the things that you said before about the Democrat is not a fascist or fascistic party.
No, that's not fascism. I'm sorry. Listen to me. Fascism started in the early 1900s. State repression goes back as much older than fascism. So fascism is a very particular manifestation and way of structuring the state. Saying something isn't fascist doesn't mean it's just, it's nonviolent, it's non-repressive. But go off. There ain't a hill I'm willing to die on for proper terminology and historical accuracy. But heads been getting split since long before Benito Mussolini and the fasci. But go off. And here's another thing. A lot of people think, oh, my state isn't fascist, therefore I'm free. My state isn't fascist, therefore there's no mass incarceration. You know, no, but go off, like I said.
Okay. Just making sure you're still there.
No, because listen, you can have, without the hyper nationalism, without worship and idealization of the state, without the fusion of multinational corporations before, because the fusion of multinational corporations and state power, or the capture of the state by private interests, you can, heads being split, monarchs were splitting heads of people for bread riots and shits of that nature. But like I said,
so basically the treatment of Palestinian or Palestine solidarity movement is not an indicator of fascism. That's this country's, I guess, bread and butter. Is more so what you're saying. One party is more fascistic and the other one is just rooted to the same type of injustices.
One party articulates hyper nationalism, just the characteristics that we associate with fascism, and the other party has characteristics we associate with liberalism, and even what some call egalitarianism. But they both arrive at the same end. Again, heads have been busted, and there are places right now where there aren't protests and there aren't heads being busted, and the police aren't being hyper aggressive and jackbooted. But again, I think that in terms of calling everything whenever the state does anything is fascism, it's kind of like that to the left or the progressives. Hey, anytime the government does something, it's fascism. Is akin to me seeing that anytime when the right wingers or conservatives or reactionaries, anytime the government does something, it's communism. Oh, the government's coming in. They don't want us. They want unlimited missions. They want to tell me I can't drive my big SUV, and they want us all on electric cars. Anything the government does, that's communism. That's socialism. That's a right-wing reaction to anytime the government does anything, it's communism. And on our side, anytime the government does anything we don't like, it's fascism. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I do think that as fascism and the state moves towards actual fascism, but if you think you're already there, a lot of people are like, oh, throw your hands up. This is a fascist state. Throw your hands up. What are you going to do? Which a lot of times concluding that you have arrived or the state is formally and officially fascist. If you arrive at that conclusion, if you have cancer and you were like, well, I got terminal cancer, then and you stop taking the necessary means to address the cancer when it's still your prognosis isn't actually terminal yet, it'll sometimes accelerate your move towards terminal.
I don't know if that's fair to say that the same as, oh, I got cancer, I'm gonna throw my hands up and it's over. Oh, this is what I'm labeling fascism or fascistic, and I'm gonna throw my hands up. But Jared, I don't know.
As a wannabe George Jacksonist, I have to disagree. George Jackson called out that we were in fascism 50 years ago and certainly was not in encouraging a throw your hands up response. It was a throw your hands response.
Okay.
But you know, just yeah, that's
so there's one more clip of the, I guess, the law and order.
To me, this is run-of-the-mill capitalism. This is run-of-the-mill capitalism. And that's where we should be fighting, because it's the ultimate manifestation of and the ultimate conclusion of capitalism is fascism and imperialism and things. But we're still at capitalism. We don't need to go beyond capitalism. We should be fighting capitalism like our lives depend on it. But okay.
For the sake of not engaging more in a messy argument, let's play that clip real quick.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Gina,
This is so dangerous. Again, they're shooting rubber bullets, but I can tell you from doing stories about rubber bullets,
rubber bullets hurt. And you're shooting them at unarmed students and faculty and whoever else is out there. It's ridiculous. But that framing, and this is why, and we don't have to take a lot of time with it, but this is why I wanted us to look at that John McWhorter article. And I admit that I have very little good or positive to say about him. We've debated. He and Dyson debated me back in the day on Dyson's radio show, and the only bar that I will claim that I got off in that argument was that I said I called McWhorter Cotton Smith. I said you were an intellectual Cotton Smith, and meaning a snitch and a traitor, and but McWhorter wrote a piece recently in an opinion piece in the New York Times that is meant to it's meant to justify and give cover to that little Gaza's framing. That so as he says here, I'm a Columbia professor. The protests on my campus are not justice. And John McWhorter, this is a guy that, again, this is someone exactly comes out of the Manhattan Institute back in the day. He's built a long career off of being a black spokesperson of white supremacy.
Good money in that.
Very good money in that. And the long story short of what he does in this article, I don't know, we don't have to take too much time with it, but the long story short is that he equates these protests to violence. And he juxtaposes them to what he was saying were the more righteous but more peaceful and calm protests of anti-apartheid in back in the day when he was at Rutgers. Yeah, go ahead.
He said he was trying to have a quiet reflection in his class, and they were making noise outside.
Well, he wanted to listen to composer John Cage. You're right, and that's very important. His most famous piece.
All this noise outside.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you expect him to conduct his class?
He said, "I couldn't see making them sit through and listen to the music as if it were background music, as if all the from the chants from river to the sea were the disturbing. He couldn't do it."
Genocide is equivalent to saying in integration,
Right.
You know,
And I just want to be clear, like, so we're
the
clear.
new N word is no genocide. That's an
I'm not-
offensive slur.
I'm not making it up. I mean, he's saying here that what's happening there is a form of violence. These chants, like, that would have been condemned as a grave rupture of civilized exchange. Listen, it's civilized exchange as people are being genocidally exterminated. But he's saying this is a form of violence because apparently he's claiming that there's some questions as to Israel's very right to exist in those chants. There's nothing
From
specifically.
the river to the sea means kill all Jewish people.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
So anyway, he goes through this circuitous point argument to say that this is not as righteous as the anti-South Africa apartheid protests. And we wouldn't tolerate this if it weren't for if these were folks chanting something about condemning Black Lives Matter or Black people or something like that. And I would say, but you don't see the difference there? That's the point. You're right. The idea is that the world is attempting to civilize by saying we don't want to live in a situation where we are condemning Black people and condemning but you want to and we would rightfully condemn if these were Nazis and white supremacists protesting in this way. But you're saying that ultimately these protesters are the violent threat, that not the colonization or the militarism that they are protesting. So that's, I mean, but to create this narrative that these are the violent protesters, that these are the little Gazas, is all meant to justify the violence we saw in that Instagram post and what may come. What may in fact come next if people continue and make their efforts even more sophisticated.
Well, Jared, you're wrong because he says this is how most people feel, and he right not to offend. In recreation, I record common and civilized opinions. I take none of this back in solidarity with the reasonable many, and most, and no automatic, no amount of rhetoric.
He's whack. He's just whack.
I hate when people punk out. If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly.
He doubled down though. He said he stand on business. He stand on what he said. But so I think his I went through the article also, and then I guess I was trying to see. So he said something about how he likened this to, as you were saying, the protests against the apartheid struggle, and how it was not as violent. And again, I don't know, other than the chants that he's calling violent. But that hall, I think it was the Hamilton Hall that they've been taking over since back in the days. Like, students have been taking that over, and all of the protests seeming to end with some type of reaction to the school. So in 1985, when anti-apartheid protest was going on at Hamilton Hall, that took for 21 days, the university ended up fully divesting in South Africa. So in that case, it did work, or that case, the actions that they was striving for did happen. And again, I'm not sure that he even covered that in his article, that it was successful because of their struggle, and there was chance, there was like occupying of a building. And so again, he doesn't say that, but his argument would be that, and what he's saying tacitly at least, is that yes, apartheid ended because that was the righteous thing that happened, and it was righteous. The righteousness of that struggle is proven in the fact that no South Africans on campus felt personally targeted, as opposed to those wanting to defend Palestinians who are apparently. Again, this is my point. Because Tagichi's comment, what he's saying is apartheid, I can recognize, especially looking back from today, was unrighteous. Hamas is not the equivalent of Black South Africans suffering under apartheid. That's the point he's trying to distinguish, to draw out here. And to do it, he's trying to distinguish between the forms of protest and the righteousness, the right underlying or undergirding that protest. So it's a full
reframing narrative nonsense, and even to suggest that he participated in any way in anti-apartheid struggle, I would
You don't
question.
know. You don't.
I
That was-
don't
that
know.
was-
I
that was a little
question it.
Can I
wild.
tell you this, which is even more ironic, where he would try to talk about the worthiness and appropriateness of anti-South Africa versus anti-Zionist or anti-apartheid. South Africa's number one ally to the bitter, bloody end,
It's the same
white
class.
minority rule in South Africa's number one benefactor was Israel, up
Same
to
class.
and including giving South Africa a nuclear bomb and aiding and supporting minority ruled apartheid South Africa. Israel refused to support any of the boycotts. They, in fact, were illegally funneling weapons and resources to minority-ruled South Africa and Rhodesia. During the founding of Zionists, from Theodore Herzl on down, the Zionists have said one of the good things, if you aid us in establishing a Jewish state, we will be allies and further evidence of European imperialism. It was from day one an admirer of and an ally of European imperialism. So for him to say that South Africa, and you can't compare South Africa and apartheid in Palestine is just inaccurate in every respect, because they are literally were close allies, up to and including the Mossad giving intelligence and aiding in surveillance and capture of anti-apartheid activists and resistance cells.
So yeah,
So what in the entire fuck? How can this man even legitimately call himself an academic with being so inaccurate and so dishonest in such a large
Listen.
forum as the newspaper of record? What in the entire fuck?
Jared, no slight, but this kind of shows you it doesn't take intelligent people to become academics, professors, or none of that stuff. There's a lot of quotes in there that he said that is wild. He said the
Shit's
lusty
wild.
chances from the river to the sea. 2 students in
First
his
of
class
all, I don't need a
barely-
PhD to prove I'm smart. I just happen to have one.
Yeah, you
It's
go.
like, I'm just playing.
But-
No, but
no,
you're right.
So he
You're
talked
right.
about the 2 students in his class who are Israeli and 3 others, to his knowledge, are American Jews, and he couldn't see himself making them sit through again that that.
I mean, if you have an anti-racist march, can you imagine how uncomfortable the neo-Nazis are if you have an anti-racist march?
I mean, he said that.
If you have a woman's liberation or a woman's empowerment march, can you imagine how uncomfortable the sexist and misogynist are? So when you take a stand against something, you have to be sensitive to the people, the ideologues who hold to that thing you're protesting against. Of course.
He said if the protesters were instead chanting anti-black slogans, or even something like DEI has to die, to the same sound off tune that From the River to the Sea has been adapted to, they would have lasted roughly 5 minutes before masses of students shouted them down and drove them off campus. That dude is
I don't even know if I wonder if that's true even, but his false equivalence, the attempted construction of a false equivalence is nonsense. By the way, I got to credit one of my offshoot nerd YouTube channels, Little Joel, for first putting me on to the fact that McWhorter even wrote this thing. So I didn't even know he had done this. So I got it, and I want to credit where I at least found it first.
And stop sending me articles behind the paywall.
Well, I got away from that paywall. I got some skills.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I forgot. It wasn't. And anytime you can, with New York Times and stuff like that, I can always get them through the university. So that's one of the few.
Right. I ain't living like that.
Well, my bad.
I'm
I
not
didn't.
a crook like Geechee. I'm not an ivory tower establishment figure like you. I'm neither. So y'all be sending me shit behind paywall. It take me half the day to read the shit.
Diallo, you would encourage getting around paywalls. Are you serious now?
Oh no, I listen to King's Son. What did King's Son say? Fuck a thug life. Niggas die being unlawful.
Thug Life is
I'm
stealing
not
New York
unlawful.
Times articles.
That's
I'm still with
illegal.
Prodigy. As long as I'm alive, I'ma live illegal. And once I get on,
No,
I'ma
I
put
ain't
on my
confessing the crimes
people.
online.
Yes.
Not
So,
on
Jared,
the
do
internet.
you?
Not in a
I
fascist
know it's
country.
hard
I'm
to
not going
read.
to admit to committing
Oh,
crimes
even
in a public
capitalists
forum.
punish criminals.
I know
mean
it's
what?
hard to read John McWhorth, Jared, but do
Yeah.
you think he was trying to be balancing sometime? Like some of the part of the
Hold on a
article.
No.
second. Stop sending me shit. Screenshot that shit and send me the article. Or
No,
copy
what
paste that shit.
so going back to
And
what
then I
was
click on
even
something
my
else.
first,
Tested a few statements, though.
when Glenn
Tested a few
Ford
statements.
and Bruce Dixon had initially launched Black Commentator, the first thing that I got to do for that publication was write an essay criticizing McWhorter's radio relationship with Dyson. And it allowed me to look into, for the first time back then, McWhorter's history and his academic, his intellectual lineage, so to speak. And it's all Manhattan. So it's Manhattan Institute being one of the more prominent white conservative think tanks. He is here to produce, again, a blacker face version of their politics. He's
Right.
positioned, he's platformed to do it. So he's not trying to create a balance. He's creating a false equivalence. That's what he was doing in
Well, I'm
that.
saying
In that.
like one particular paragraph. You said, although I know many Jewish people will disagree with me, I don't think the Jew hatred is as much the reason for this sentiment as opposition to Zionism and the war on Gaza. I know some of the protesters, including a couple who were taken to jail last week, and I find it very hard to imagine that they are anti-Semitic. So there's a couple little lines like that in the article where he's like,
If it's
contradicting himself a little bit?
it's not a contradiction, it's an acknowledgement to the other wing of the ruling elite, which it includes some of his more prominent, likely Jewish colleagues who he did probably know, and they were
Right.
probably like, John, how dare you? So he had to throw this one line in. But again, it's not in defense of the protesters or their politics. It's to assure that he doesn't cut off too much of his
Statue.
benefactors, his stature, his class colleagues, his peers, I mean, when you read that article, it is funny to be, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's personally painful, admittedly, to be lumped in with the McWhorter type academics. Because in reading that, my experience is most of our experiences, frankly, have nothing to do with what he's talking about. The styles of classes he's teaching, the few classes he teaches at the enormous salary that he gets, the focus of his class, the desire to be ensconced in that milieu, all of that. You can read it, you can hear it when he talks. So yeah, to me, when I read that line that you're talking about, it's him trying to cling, to not be fully pushed out of any of those spaces, even as he has to work for those who actually rule those spaces.
This is the last one. I got to read the funniest line of all. He says, "The other night I watched a dad coming from the protest with his little girl, giving a good hard few final snaps on the drum he was carrying, nodding at her in crisp salute, percussioning his perspective into her little mind. This is not peaceful." So it's not a peaceful.
Yeah, and that's my point. I'm glad you called that out. He's saying, to your point, he's saying that even this father walking with his daughter is an act of violence. And then he concludes the whole piece by saying that all of this is a form of abuse. So not the genocide, not the suffering of people in Gaza, not the oppressed, not the people right even down the street from his New York City university, none of those people are suffering forms of abuse. Right. It's the father walking with his daughter away from a protest, propagandizing her, and others chanting in defense of those suffering genocide. That's the violence. So
Right.
it's
And there's also a point where he was like, he don't think that the war on Gaza is no longer constructive or even coherent. So at one point he thought it was constructive, but now it's no longer constructive. So maybe yeah, he was just throwing words at the page and hoping some of it connect.
again, what does he mean by not constructive? Again, he's not saying it's unjust. He's not saying it's part of an imperial project. He's not saying it's genocide. He's just saying it's no longer constructive.
No, he said we need to define genocide. He said we haven't properly defined it yet, and that's why we have this confusion. So once we define genocide,
the genocide has been formally and legally defined.
well, not according to John. John McWorthless know a little bit more than both of y'all. So
No, does he know more than the ICC?
I think so.
He's
at Columbia.
He damn sure does. That's
and
John
Israel
McWhorter.
also, Israel being a signatory also has acknowledged and accepted the formal the Genocide Convention and the formal definition of genocide, if I'm not correct. But
Netanyahu don't care about that though.
I'm just saying that component where he says, "What is even genocide? What is
right?"
You know, that's a goddamn lot. But this reminds me of a
bit much.
A public talk I went to years ago, over 20 years ago, where Professor Mackey was talking about academic attack dogs, and he calls them people like McWorthless. You said, who called him McWorthless? Calls him an academic attack dog, and the systems and institutions of white domination keep not just Black, but women, LGBTQAI, migrant. They keep members who represent out groups on the payroll. So when they have to come out and dismiss their own people with a level of legitimacy and representation, he called him. But what's ironic about that is when he gave his talk on academic attack dogs, Cornel West was also on that list.
I mean, ain't nobody arguing that. I don't think.
Okay, because y'all.
I mean, y'all
out here playing.
Don't start the shit. Don't start.
Well, but it's easy to do that. That makes sense because it's easy to make him the farthest left they will acknowledge, and then just to hold him up to be the political pinata.
So really quick
ahead.
again. So him trying to tie Columbia's protests this time to South Africa, where students have barricaded themselves there in the protests. But so I looked through the since '68 Vietnam. After a week of protests, police started cracking down on those protesters. Same type of shit happened. More than 700 people were arrested. One of the largest mass detentions in New York City, and at least 148 people was injured. Some were hit with nightsticks, dragged out, according to the student newspaper. But protesters result in that one, with the university cutting ties with the Pentagon Institute, doing research for the Vietnam War, and led to reforms favoring student activism. In '72, there was an anti-war protest in the same building, and the blockade several campuses ended with police riot gear stormed in and evicted the demonstrators. And then we just talked about in 1985, that was 21 days at the same Hamilton Hall. And even in 1992, that one-day blockade when the students was trying to block Hamilton Hall from demolishing the Audubon Theater. They didn't necessarily win. I think some of it still got kind of demolished, and it was able to keep a few. But it's showing countless times of these particular students, and I'm pretty sure students around the country, where these demonstrations are actually forcing the hand of some of these universities because of, I guess, their reaction. So if Columbia already said that divestment is off the table, then it probably would make sense for the students to up the ante and other people to get involved to where shit might look different. So again, John McWorthless is not the one that we should be speaking about too much. And then obviously we got some stuff with what's your guy name? Al Sharpton, or as Diallo call him.
Yo, he is what he said is outrageous.
Sharpton. Now I think if the person never responded back, they said they was gonna come, but at 9 o'clock I think we got an interview. But if not, we can keep rolling with this.
Well, if we have, there's one very short story that's not on the run sheet I would like to squeeze in just quickly. So if we have 15 minutes. Do you want to bring up Sharpton now? I mean, does he need more than 15 minutes?
No, I don't think Sharpton need. I mean, Worthless said a lot of wild shit that he probably needed a little.
Was there a link? Did anybody have a link specific to Sharpton?
Actually, because
I just saw the headline where he was just go ahead.
No, I was about to say, because I was trying to look at his protege and how she was moving, Tamika Mallory, and
Well, this was the only one I saw that he said he's comparing anti-Israel demonstrations to January 6th. So now, will this play, or do we have to sit through a commercial first? But the idea that, again, these are the false equivalences that these folks will keep trying to. I guess it's not. I don't know what's going on with it. We don't need to hear it. But sitting there with Misha Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, let's see. He says the politics of that, what is being robbed by them not doing that, Joe, where you and I agree. How do you Democrats, how do all of us that side say January 6th was wrong? If you can have the same pictures going on college campuses, you lose the moral high ground, Sharpton said. Good Lord, don't make the parallel to January 6th, co-host Misha Brzezinski said in response. For some reason, that's not allowed.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that's vegan. I don't know if that's veganism or some coke or something else. But listen, why would you expect much from this guy who celebrates this other guy, right? So in Sharpton, shouting out the green black, he's getting some awards. So yeah, I wouldn't.
ADL's the head of ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt. Yeah, of course they're on. Wow.
They blood in, man. He getting national. But what you said, Diallo, go ahead.
I think we don't acknowledge enough Black Zionist and Christian Zionism. Christian Zionism is more central and necessary for the sustaining of the Zionist project and the legitimacy of Israel than Jewish Zionist. Christian Zionists outnumber Jewish Zionism by like 100 to 1. So I don't think we understand enough, which is why I wanted to bring a Black Hebrew on here and a Black Zionist on here to discuss it, because for so many of us, the conflict and the necessity to resist is so clear that we turn a blind eye to the fact that a large faction of our community not only support Zionism, but see it as central to their salvation and the fulfillment of the prophecy of their religion. Zionism is as much a Christian prophetic project as it is a Jewish imperialist project. So when you see people, and I don't think you can even understand, Biden is a bloodthirsty tyrant, but he's also a card-carrying lifelong Catholic, and Catholic Zionism and Catholic prophecy and dispensation. I think we just allow that, they're just on somebody's payroll, or they just not clear on the facts. No, it's central to their very concept and their understanding of reality. So Black Zionism, I think, is being overlooked because a lot of our aunties and grandmas and really believe that this is prophesied by God and evidence of the existence of God and foretelling the return of their Lord and Savior. What's going on there?
So I got a serious question, right? So I thought once Tamika pulled up, he was going to ride off into the sunset because his protege made her mark. She doesn't say a lot about the Palestine situation. She's more focusing on Marilyn Mosby defense, protect the black women. But this is what she said 29 weeks ago. But my question to y'all and the chat, if you had to say,
wait, what did she say? You took it down too fast.
I'm just all she was doing was bigging up the Palestinian women. She said, "I'm disgusted to say the violence happening in Israel, Palestine is completely unprovoked, is a bold-faced lie." And basically, she was just countering this happened out of nowhere or unprovoked thing. Which again, that was the only thing that I could find that she said, and I was just kind of seeing if she was on the same side with her mentor. But the more serious question, or the more important question for you two in the chat, if you had to say, I know we talked about Cornel West, but if you had to say Al Sharpton's relevancy, 100%, he's the most relevant thing popping, to 0, what would be your score for him and why? And then everybody in the chat, you can say what percentage you would give him, but how relevant would you say Al Sharpton is today? 100 being most and 0.
I think he's still at least in the 80s, if not higher. And I think what you just showed is why I make that make that argument. This is sort of when he goes on, he represents a politic that is encouraged and supported by the state and those in charge. He is placed on MSNBC. He's given prominence. And I get to many in our chat, he would not have value. But I think we're missing the point. He is there. He is the tree that produced, because in the last part when you mentioned the Autobahn, the first thought I had was that the Autobahn has almost been reduced to being a stage for Ben Crump and his promotional campaigns and his rebranding of Malcolm's history and the importance of Malcolm X. Crump is from the Sharpton tree. Tamika Mallory is from the Sharpton tree. Mm-hmm. That whole wing of what initially, that beautiful moment that I saw on tape, because I won't claim to have been there, because I feel like Ferguson is becoming a generation Selma's bridge at this point. But while I was not there, I did see the tape where Jesse and Al Sharpton were booed by the people in the community. And they've been restored to a form of prominence, even indirectly, by the rebranded Black Lives Matter movement that was allowed to evolve in response to encapsulate and suppress that very ethic. So we get all of those Andy Youngs, all of that influence the EYLs and all the other, all of them are still playing a prominent role in suppressing Black radical politics, even if for many of us directly, they're not as relevant, or even if many of others who would agree with their politics aren't even aware to what extent that they're still relevant. So that's why that's my.
So that's similar to Lorenzo Irvin saying him and others like him were the cleanup job for the repreps. I mean, cleanup job after the nonprofit industrial complex. But Diallo, what's your score?
I think we missed the point when we talk about their relevance to us. I think we missed the point of these creatures. Al Sharpton, you have to look at his evolution. First, let me just lead with the conclusion. Relevance to Black people was never the fucking goal. Black people, we are the stepping stones. People like Al Sharpton, what's that boy's name? Barack, the carpet bomber, Jay-Z and Beyonce. Their goal is to go mainstream. So when Sharpton was out there in tracksuits wearing gold medallions, you know, out there with Tawana Brawley and out there spewing, their ultimate goal is to demonstrate their capacity. And Minister Louis Farrakhan, their goal is to demonstrate their value to the system, to the legitimate system, to the moneyed interest. So their relevance to us is only a stepping stone to demonstrating their worthiness and their ascension to white mainstream. So Sharpton went from marching in the streets. I knew a martial arts instructor that used to be one part of his security detail. Went from marching in the streets. He was on these goddamn talk shows getting slapped across chairs by Roy Ennis. Now he's, like you said, on mainstream corporate media. He ran for president, and now he's a dignified, legitimate, commentator in corporate media. So when our legitimacy amongst us, we have to look when we see people moving and from us. I'm an underground rapper, or I'm from the streets, or I'm a community organizer, and they gain our loyalty and support. And then they use that to demonstrate to the corporate media, just like your boy. What's that boy's name? That thick-necked boy that's always crying that he don't get enough corporate media support. He's literally like, all these black folks watching me. And so multinational corporation, I can bring black folks to heal. So yeah, his relevance to the people that he thinks that he cares about. He don't give a shit about his relevance to the streets, to the black masses. He cares about his relevance to the corporate class, to the political infrastructure. And you even see he's willing to go cross party lines and go with the anti-woke right wing, Morning Joe, Fox News. So his relevance is exactly where he wants it to be. He's a mainstream embedded with the mainstream white. So losing relevance amongst us ain't even the point, because that was never the goal. And I think we need to be mindful of that, because we've lifted so many of these motherfuckers up on our shoulders only to have them defecate on our foreheads.
So you got a score or no?
I just think it's funny. Diallo starts with, go back and rewind the tape. Diallo starts with, we missing the point. That's not the point. And then says exactly what I just said. That's exactly what I said. I love it though. You put it better than I did, but we agree. Absolutely. That's exactly what his whole, that's why he's relevant.
Well, the point I said we're missing is saying, what is his relevance amongst us? Like, I remember.
No, but that was what I was saying. His relevance is to suppress the radical politics that we might emerge by supporting white supremacist politics. But yeah, go ahead.
I remember when Obama was here knocking on doors and walking up and down, King Drive. He was up and down 53rd Street. When he was
a community activist.
Yes, when he was an organizer. I'm sorry, he was an
organizer. Sorry, yes, sorry.
He never said specifically what he was organizing us for, because a lot of people, a lot of y'all homies be out there organizer. I'm an organizer. They, they don't specify what the fuck they organizing. They could organize like a group of lemmings going off the cliff. Organizing for organizing.
He did. I saw he did some like computer. Back in the day, like some computer training course for black people in the hood. Come on now.
The Obamas were here, embedded in the community, and nothing Michelle liked better than saying, I'm a Chicago girl. And she came here for some PR and was over on pushing that shitty book she wrote. She had, ghosts written for her. And they locked down all of 53rd Street. They went to this popular black restaurant and they put this black tape all over the windows. And she came with these white boys with these bulletproof linens and these black SUVs up and down the block. And she came here to front like, I'm coming home. I'm a Chicago girl. I'm Chicago's own Michelle Obama. And she came and put the whole neighborhood under siege, so that she could front like she was just stopped in to have a sip of tea and a piece of chicken at a popular black establishment here in Hyde Park. So the Obama's goal, Obama don't give a shit about his relevancy to us. They used us. That's like asking, what's this particular pimp's relevant to the hoes? And and the hoes discussing whether or not this particular pimp has gained. We are exploited. We are fodder. We are stepping stones for these Negroes. And it's really sad that we can't distinguish between who's really down for us and who's only pretending to gather up the flock around them so that they can demonstrate to the corporate class, to the elites, to the oppressors that, hey, I can sway this herd for you. I can coon these trees for you. I mean, I can tree these coons for you. That's all. But if you said it first, then we resonate and we hear.
No, absolutely. That's so listen, I see we have 1 minute. Do we have 1 minute? I can do this in 1 minute.
Yeah, do it. I mean, it's cool. I don't need anything popping up. They can hear.
I didn't see anybody. I don't see anybody in the studio, but so I saw this tweet yesterday from Chris Hedges that says, let me start here. The for some really legendary journalist, Chris Hedges. A lot of folks like him. You could see all the left support. Anyway, I was just informed by Max Alvarez, the editor-in-chief at The Real News, that they will no longer run my show. The reason for the cancellation, he said, is that my critiques of Biden, especially for the genocide in Gaza, jeopardizes his nonprofit status. My last show with Dennis Kucinich, who is running as an independent for Congress in Ohio, was removed from the site. Chris Hedges. And you can see, so shout out to Kat Mahari, who tagged me on this to let me know that this had happened. And this is why I was saying this sounds familiar, because this is exactly what was said to me under the previous leadership vis-a-vis my criticism of Bernie Sanders, who we were being told at the time we were to support in this would have been in 2015 or so, 2016, 2015, 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. We were to support him. And I was told the same thing. And that this was, they couldn't per se fire me because my relationship was actually through my sabbatical at the university. It wasn't an actual full employment relationship. And there was a particular contract, but there was, they have since disinvited me and removed all my content or a bulk of my content. And but it was a very similar thing. And I will say that at the time, Chris Hedges' son was on the editorial staff at The Real News. And I wrote, and I will say, one day he got chastised in a way I thought was so inappropriate. But this is the previous leadership. This isn't the current Max or whoever. And I wrote an email to them saying, you can't talk to employees like this. You can't talk to people like this. And I always thought, because they always valued Chris so much, like, you gonna let them talk to your son like that? Or they don't tell you, nobody tells you that they're like, or is this supposed to be he's his own man, to the point where I was just always very uncomfortable with all that. But my point being, that sounds familiar. That sounds exactly familiar. That this supposedly progressive left media outlet, like many others, is beholden to elite, nonprofit, mostly white male funding, and is refusing to allow even a Chris Hedges version of a critique, leftward critique of Joe Biden, which is. Again, sounds familiar. So I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that.
We can go into some Q&As, but I actually had a note. I forgot. But ironically, when the after the protests in at Columbia, ironically, I know you said irony.
I bet it's not irony, but go ahead.
But on October the 7th, that date is when, after 5 months of protests, Columbia became the first major U.S. university to fully divest from South Africa. And then everybody followed. So October 7th.
Oh, that's deep. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty. So I know Diallo ain't into spiritual and all that other stuff, but
you are.
I do think we have our guests, by the way.
You are, Geechee.
So why don't we do this? Can we do this?
Huh?
I'm not, but still.
Then why you gotta specify that I ain't?
Because you make it known. I don't make it known as much. I'm just saying, brother. Just slow down.
You a closet atheist?
Look, I don't want to. Can we not do this in front of company? So we got a guest coming up. Let's
come for me. I didn't send for you, Geechee.
Let's take a quick break and then come back with our special guest. Don't go anywhere. Much more here.
No
EYL.
Oh,
yeah.
You got to earn your liberation.
Let's move to a new and higher segment on Earn Your Liberation.
Yeah.
Who needs a college professor when you have a media
That wasn't
producing
what I thought it
genius?
was. Okay, that's cool. I thought you was gonna play some of that stuff from Tuesday.
Oh no, I just upgraded. We got new ones.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
discourage you.
I
But
thought
So
you was
welcome
So
to our special guest, please.
So
Yes.
yeah, shout out to Danny Brookington,
Brockington.
Brockington. I'm sorry,
Yes.
with the Guild community
Guild.
Guild community. I'm sorry, we covered them maybe 2 weeks ago, and shout out to you. Appreciate you coming through. Just tell us who you are and a little bit about the organization that you are struggling with.
Well, my name is Danny Brockington. I'm Director of Storytelling at the Guild. The Guild is an organization based in Atlanta that we started out as a co-living company about 10 years ago. And within the process of that, realized that the way to build affordable housing really has to hit at the way capital is put together to fund housing. That the real estate industry is set up to fail, or set up for us to fail. It's set up for us to be exploitative. And it really is the underpinnings of capitalism. So we are a company that develops community-owned housing. So we have a model that we are currently launching this year called the Community Stewardship Trust that allows folks to co-own properties together and also co-govern them. So think about like a co-op building, but instead of it just being the residents of a building, it's a community that is owning multiple properties within the community, making decisions about those buildings, the tenants, the rents, everything together, along with the tenants and residents in those buildings, and able to take properties that have been, in a lot of cases, deliberately blighted, and turn them back into resources based on what the community needs, not based on what developers are coming in from outside the community, putting into a community for the purposes of gentrification and displacement. We're centered around Black residents, Black and Brown residents, legacy residents who've been in these neighborhoods for years and who have been the people to create the value, create the social value and the culture and the fabric of these neighborhoods, who end up being the first ones displaced from them as soon as they become hot and trendy. So that's one side of what we do. And the other side of what we do is, it's not really another side, it's actually very similar, is we create land trusts, which is another model of community ownership, where the land trusts are focused specifically around buildings that are solely dedicated to housing. So that pressure of an investment vehicle with the Community Stewardship Trust isn't there. But we have two land trust buildings currently in Atlanta, one on Elm Street in Vine City and one in Peoplestown, which is a single family home that we are adding extra units to that lot. It's an oversized lot. And that is a partnership with Housing Justice League and American Friends Service Committee.
Yeah, thank you. So you would say the primary contradiction that y'all trying to solve is gentrification, or what would that be? And then also just like tell us a little bit more about your positions and thoughts about land trusts and how that could benefit our people.
Yes, it would be gentrification. I think gentrification kind of sums up a lot of it. That process of gentrification from beginning to end. It's not, because a lot of people think that, I was reading, comments on something last night, and they were talking about the Kroger on Cleveland Avenue and how, Adair Park, Capitol View, all of those neighborhoods are pressuring Kroger. The MPU really is pressuring Kroger to improve its conditions before they will approve a liquor license for the Kroger. And someone, and it was a Black woman in the comments, was like, well, Kroger's not going to improve because they don't see the value. The best thing this neighborhood can do for itself is gentrify faster. And then they'll see the value and put in the investment. And whenever I see that wording, I'm like, you don't get what gentrification is. Gentrification isn't just this process of, oh, now people are interested in the neighborhood, and so the property values go up, and now we have more amenities and things are nicer because people who make more money live in the neighborhood. That is a process that starts before you see it. The process of gentrification begins years earlier when the values in that neighborhood, the property values in that neighborhood are deliberately kept low. When a neighborhood becomes a site where you have industrial activity moving into a residential neighborhood, creating environmental issues, creating health issues, and then that creates the ability for, I mean, in Atlanta, we have 1 out of 3 homes owned by corporations. It creates the mechanism for corporations to buy homes in bulk. You know what I mean? It's the entire process of gentrification that you don't see before you see, oh, people are buying houses and making them pretty again, which also is a displacement process for the people who have already been there.
All right. So I'll pause if any other questions from the brothers. I have more, but did y'all want to jump in?
I'm good. I saw there was a couple in the chat, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple times that I think we covered it last week as well, but there's a couple times where we saw some few words that normally is like a trigger. So there's like wealth building. I think was one of them. I can't remember obviously entrepreneurship, right? So I see that a lot in some of the work that you guys are doing. Mm-hmm. But could you kind of speak to what you mean by, or what y'all mean by like wealth building, and then also like positional entrepreneurship? And we're asking this because what we cover here on a lot, sometimes entrepreneurship is used as like a political diversion included in Black capitalism. I do see y'all talk about cooperatives, so I just kind of wanted you to talk more about your thoughts about wealth building and also how y'all want to engage entrepreneurship.
Yes, and I realized I left out a couple of things in our spiel. We are a worker-owned cooperative. The Guild is. I see that you pulled up from our website our community wealth building. What was the whole name of it? Our accelerator from 2019. So that accelerator program was actually, and the way we approach entrepreneurship is from a community standpoint. So the businesses in our accelerator, most of them, it was focused around real estate. It was focused around businesses that didn't have a physical space or wanted to expand into a physical space, move out of doing pop-ups and have a property of their own. So there was a lot of structural technical knowledge that was also leading to a real estate process. And what we covered in that was how to convert your business into a cooperative, how you can exit into being a worker-owned cooperative while still maintaining your own ownership and sense of ownership over the business. What does open books look like? Because we were in the process we were just beginning the process ourselves, actually, of shifting to a cooperative as well. So when we talk about wealth building, it's really more a community wealth building. And community wealth building is a very different process and a very different mindset from a couple of us are going to get real rich making money. So even when we talk about the Community Stewardship Trust, which is a vehicle by which people can co-own and co-govern properties, but it's also an investment vehicle. It functions as folks can buy shares at $10 a share, and the voting or the governance of the building is one person, one vote. Even that as as a wealth building vehicle, it's more than, and it's not going to be, hey, we're flipping a house and everybody's going to get a whole bunch of money off flipping this house or flipping this building. It's designed to be a longer term thing. And it also is designed for community benefit. So an example that we use a lot when we do workshops is, hey, the building has a surplus. You can receive a return, you can receive a dividend, or you can put that money into something that's going to benefit the community. We can get a delivery van for the grocery store. We can create a fund that is a rent relief fund for tenants or a rent relief fund for the neighborhood. Let's take this wealth that we're building and put it toward community benefit. Because when we talk about community wealth building, that's what we mean. We mean, is everybody healthy? Is everyone able to provide for themselves? Is everyone able to get around? What do we need? What do community members need? And then how are we working together to provide that for everyone? More so than an individualized wealth building, get rich quick kind of situation.
All right, Diallo, you have anything? I can pull something from the chat too, but go ahead.
No, we can proceed to the chat.
Okay, so there's a couple questions. I think the first one was, and maybe you explain it, but just I guess it's a single. What exactly is the co-living situation, or how would you describe that?
Co-living, it's a model that's kind of been co-opted over the past several years. Since we were doing it, we were the first co-living company in Atlanta, and what it is plainly defined as a group of people living in the same space and sharing resources. So our first co-living space was a house. And I want to say I can't quite remember the number of people who were, it was before my time with the company. So I can't quite remember the size of the group, but they were living together in one space. They were sharing a kitchen. They were sharing shared living spaces. And there was also programming that was helping with what is your artistic practice? What is your business idea? You're an activist. How can we get you plugged in with the right networks? So it was supportive programming and affordable housing packaged into one. And so after a couple of years of that, we shifted to a building. We had a building on Auburn Avenue that was 7 apartment units. And we, even though it was individual apartments, we shared resources among each other. We had one vacuum cleaner that whoever needed to borrow it. I remember during COVID, I left my door unlocked and I was like, hey, I got extra toilet paper. Anybody who needs to go in there. So it was a very shared experience that living in a co-living environment. What it's become kind of now in the public parlance is a little bit different, but yeah, it's really a communal kind of living experience.
All right. Well, I actually have one more from I think the site. Because again, like there's oftentimes that. So, for instance, the root causes of economic inequality. There's oftentimes that we argue against what people say is the root cause. Like a lot of times, we could say it's like a system, but then our solutions are normally entrepreneurial or all these other things. So I'm curious, how do you guys, I guess, describe the root cause, and then what's the goal in terms of addressing or dealing with public policy and other things of what you would call the root cause of the issues you're trying to solve?
Well, what we would cause the root causes of economic inequality is racism. I mean, plain and simple. There's a lack of Black entrepreneurs. There's a lack of, I think a lot of people kind of frame it as if more Black people were wealthy, we would be wealthier. But I don't know how long it'll take to realize that Black capitalism isn't going to save us any more than white capitalism is going to save us. That's not how we get out of this. We believe truly that the way to get out of this is collective action, and collective pooling of resources, and fighting those root causes that have been so embedded in the way this country is structured, the way the economics of this country are structured, and the baseline of that from a real estate level and an economic level being housing should not be a commodity. Housing should not be a game that people are playing on the market, because if you have investors who are trying to make a 15% return in a few years, then how can you ever keep that building? How can you ever keep that housing? Let's say we're talking about multifamily and apartment building. How can you ever keep that affordable and not raise the rents if you have to give someone more money 3, 5, 7 years from now? It has to balance out. And so what we believe, our thesis is that removing as much, especially housing, from the speculative market as possible, putting it into trust, putting it into community ownership and governance, is how we abate that process and interrupt that process.
Okay. All right. Just a few more. Any other thoughts from the co-host? There's a statement in there that if housing is a human right, it cannot also be used as a wealth building asset, such to market inflections. Do you I guess maybe you kind of redefine what normally is considered wealth building?
Yes.
I think, yeah. So I think that's.
And to clarify there, the properties that are in our community stewardship trust, that does have that that investment aspect, those are properties that are commercial and mixed use. So properties that are housing properties specifically are not put into any type of investment vehicle. Those are put in land trust, is the model that we're doing. And also with that trust, with that community stewardship trust, it's something that the investment doesn't happen until the building is finished. So we have a building that we're currently in construction at 918 Dill in Capitol View. And that building it's about 90 years old. It's been empty for a few years. There's a lot of kind of trauma around it. A past owner went inside and removed all of the electrical wiring to deliberately force out the tenants so that no one could use it. So what we've done, and it was also a building that the neighborhood had tried to get together and purchase a few years earlier, and had run into a lot of roadblocks and wasn't able to complete that process. So what we were able to do was acquire that building, and it's going to become 7,500 square feet of, or the current footprint is 7,500 square feet, but community gathering space, meeting space, a grocery store that has 3 restaurant spaces inside, and then 18 units of permanently affordable housing up top, a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms. And what we mean by permanently affordable is that the rents are not going to go up exponentially after a few years because tax credits ran out, or because a grant ran out, or because the loan has matured, and now we need to pay back more money on the loan. It's stable, and the investment does not begin until that building is open, which will be at the end of this year. So it's not one of those situations where it's crowdfunding to get the money to open the thing, because what happens so often is that model, and that's the riskiest time to do something like that. And what is built into this is that people who've been exploited and people who have never been able to build their own financial stability on their home, which is the typical way of functioning in society, economically, are able to do something collectively where that stability can be built, but in a very safe way, in a way that is not going to harm or exclude or take advantage of people.
Could you, speaking of which, if could you talk a little bit more about this contradiction you alluded to earlier about dealing with a world and a real estate, this real estate environment that is not designed to help anybody, but you're approaching it as a worker-owned cooperative. Could you talk more about that contradiction? And I'm thinking, I admit, because as we're trying to evolve this platform into a worker-owned cooperative in a similarly contradictory space of Google, YouTube, I'm very interested in how you all have navigated or are navigating that struggle, that contradiction.
Well, we're all sitting here in capitalism, right? Like, this is the world that we're existing in, that we're moving and shaking in. And so we're all trying to navigate this world that we're stuck with and trying to figure out a way out of it, a way around it, a way through it. So one of the things about like a lot of people ask, is the Guild a nonprofit? And a lot of people assume that we're a nonprofit. We are not a nonprofit, very specifically. And that was a specific decision that was made even before we became a worker-owned cooperative, because it's making the point that you can be a business, you can be a profit garnering business without trying to extract as much profit as you possibly can. One of the kind of tenets of capitalism is growth and expansion, and everything has to expand, everything has to grow, the returns have to constantly increase. But then what happens when you just start consuming yourself, which is where we are in the capitalism cycle. There has to be some measure of morality there. There has to be some measure of even down to common sense. Like, what are you doing when you constantly consume? What happens when you've consumed everything, right? And so that transition, even into a worker-owned cooperative, means moving with an ethic and moving in step with each other as community and within the communities we work with, as a collective. So a lot of what we do as a company, we can't move as fast sometimes. Especially in real estate, it's like decisions have to be made quickly, right? We acquired this building in 2020 and we broke ground on construction last year, 3 years later. And we had this first building. We've had a lot of questions around what took so long. Why are you doing what took y'all so long to do this? And it took a while to do it right. So I think that's one of the things of even our transition to being a worker-owned co-op has taken a while. And even though it's taken a couple of years, we've even been told that, that was actually pretty fast for the way that a lot of other people move in a worker co-op conversion. It's not always going to be a quick process. And a lot of times when you're moving in community, when you're moving collectively, when you are considering all the angles, when you're bringing in all the voices and making sure that you are bringing in unheard voices and making sure those are heard, that is not a process you can steam through. And so that would be, I think, my biggest takeaway of that you have to slow down and breathe, because you have to slow down and think. and you have to think about people and be really intentional about what it is you're doing. Has been I think is the biggest thing for us in that transition.
Thank you.
So if Diallo don't have anything, I guess we can get one more before we let you go. I think there were a few. Were the properties acquired from the state, or are the properties mortgaged or bought outright?
So the properties that we currently I'm running through between the Community Stewardship Trust and the Land Trust, those properties were acquired outright. They weren't mortgaged. We acquired them outright. And I would say to anyone looking, because what we a lot of what we do also is we're looking to scale, and we're looking to make sure that other people, we don't want to be the only company doing this. We want to ensure that other people are doing this. And one of the things that we have is a fund called Ground Cover that funds the acquisition of properties that are going to be community owned. So that's the answer to that question. The properties that we currently have were acquired outright. But I also wanted to mention the fund that we have as a means to acquire more properties into community stewardship, and that there are multiple ways of doing, as they say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's multiple ways to go about that.
There's more than one way to peel a mango.
That's a better one, because skin a cat is so violent. Why would we want to skin cat?
I mean,
Thank you.
Eat mangoes and bananas and fruits and shit. But
Yes.
I saw that documentary. Don't fuck with cats. Did you all see that? Yo,
I did see some of that.
Yo,
I felt some type of way.
Don't fuck with cats.
Like, why am I saying this? Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that documentary is serious. Like, those people.
It's very serious. No, that was very serious. I saw it. I thought I was going to watch something kind of funny or it's goofy, and I had no idea. It's the take the title seriously. Don't fuck with cats.
No, like,
people come find you.
Not trying to fuck with
cats.
I'm alert. I keep cats around my house. I feed them.
Or you muted yourself. How did you mute yourself? Somehow.
Oh, sorry. I pressed the button by mistake.
Yeah, that was a deep documentary. I might have to go watch that joint.
What she meant was there's many ways to shave a cat.
Or many ways to get to the answer.
Because of the fur and an allergy, that's what she really meant. Like, she ain't, see, I cleaned it up for you. Yeah. No, but shout out to you. Thank you for coming through. Anything you want to share with us before you go? Any events coming up or any other things you want to impress upon us?
Yeah, actually, for anyone who wants to know more about what we're doing, get in community, gather up with people. We're having a block party, not tomorrow, Saturday, but next Saturday on May 11th. It's going to be at 890 Dill in Capitol View, which is near the corner. It's at the corner of Dill and Hartford, near the corner of Dill and Sylvan. And we're going to have food from
vegan.
I don't know. Are we going to have? Yes, some of it I believe will be vegan. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. I know there will be vegetarian options. I think there might be a vegan option. But we're also going to have. We're gonna have music and free food and free beverages from I don't know if you're familiar with the Connect over in Westview and 404 Grounds. Amazing. We're gonna have games. We're gonna have all kinds of stuff. So that's gonna be from 3 to 6 next weekend, May 11th. And we would love for people to come out, learn about the CST, meet people, have some fun. Just a big spring community block party.
I try to clean it up for her, but she ain't gonna have no vegan food, and she's skinning cats.
I did not say there wouldn't be any vegan food. I need to check on that.
You got to get the Matumbo.
I know it's vegetarian.
We don't want no cheese. Anyway. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for coming through. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Very insightful.
Right
Thank
on.
you.
Peace. All right. So we're gonna go back. Welcome back, everybody. Still here at EYL. We're gonna get to. Are we doing some more comments and Q&A? Or are we just gonna move on to the next?
I think we should. We did a couple segments, and I think we should run into some Q&A because we highlighted a few. So yeah, let's do that.
All right.
So
where do you want to start? Am I doing it? Am I pulling them up?
Yeah, I can start out with the 20 that we get every morning. I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you very much.
Enough respect.
Definitely. Thank you for coming back for the replay.
Right. Then you got your big brother.
Hey.
As our new name. Message in rhythm.
Undecipherable by the enemy. And one of my favorite Max Roach quotes. Shout out to Big Bro. But one of my favorite Max Roach quotes was that he was defending hip hop, the late great jazz drummer, for anybody who for some reason would not know. And he said what he loved about hip hop was that white folks could be terrified just from hearing the rhythm in the drums. I was you know, rest in power to Max and to the fear, just the drum. Well, you're right about that. But he didn't know. He didn't know where we were headed, Diallo. You know what I'm saying? He and Abby thought we was about to win.
So A-Rob dropped us with $10. The NYPD crackdown on Columbia U students was led by the member of the school's faculty, Rebecca Weiner, is a Columbia professor who led an NYPD Intel division that maintains an office in Tel Aviv. Oh, wow.
Run
Rebecca
deep.
Weiner. Okay. Well, well, I don't know. Yeah, thanks.
Brother Kevin for the big 50s.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that.
Appreciate you. What we got? All the people. Oh no. Diallo, please explain where George Jackson was wrong.
Could we save that for like a Patreon special or something? Come on, man.
Okay, Diallo. It's $4. It's $4.
Please don't put us. Don't juxtapose George and Diallo.
Paid.
Come on, man.
It's already paid. Right. Let's go.
I think we should save that for a special because I actually need to go and review his comment.
Or maybe we should do a George Jackson special. Maybe we could.
That would be great.
Maybe we could do that in Detroit, or we could do that on live. But here we go.
I like that.
We're gonna stay.
I like that. But thanks for the super chat.
I gotta go get my copies. Where are my copies?
So, Diallo, how about this? Instead of the fascism, is it inverted totalitarianism? And would that be better than fascism?
I don't think it's totalitarianism either. I think the status quo is so fucked up. But we don't want to acknowledge that the status quo is so fucked up because we are in, like the sister previous was like, we're all within it. So when the United States engages in certain behaviors that we, for some reason, even though it's a constant, we believe is an anomaly. So it's very curious to me when the United States is functioning as it always has, we pretend as though it's somehow a diversion or a diversion from the status quo. So repression of the working classes, repression, monitoring of citizens, mass hangings were happening in this country before there was the fascist movement was ever enacted. So me as the nation is there is a internal struggle amongst the elites between, all out and overt fascist government to neoliberal, inclusive capitalist imperialism. So there are varying conflicts amongst white people. And I think a lot of times when we look at our enemies and oppressors, we tend to view them as a monolith, where I see that when our oppressors and enemies, when we get documents and surveillance and whistleblowers, that they are very clear on understanding the intricate difference and divergence amongst various factions in the Black liberationist movement. So whenever Black people rise up, those in intelligence, they understand the difference between a Black liberationist, Black revolutionary uprising versus a Black Lives Matter protest or uprising. They don't have a blanket term like, oh, that's just Black militancy, or that's just resistance. Now, the poor and working classes might say, oh, there are just a bunch of Black militants. But I think in order to confront, subvert, counter, we have to be very specific at what type of tactics, strategies, ideological groundings that we are opposing. But we could just call it all fascist and deal with it from that way. But I think that puts us at a disadvantage, in opposition to the systems and institutions of capitalism and white hegemony. And it also, I think, will ultimately lead to some level of confusion amongst the people we seek to educate and organize.
Well, I look forward to our book review and conversation. I think that would be dope.
So we're gonna do Blood in My Eye.
A conversation about George Jackson is a world away from a conversation about fascism.
I wouldn't. What?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Because there's so much more to George Jackson's analysis and stance than just his definition of fascism.
Of course.
Oh no, but that would be my point. But that would be my point. How did he get to reach that conclusion? And then what was he saying should be done in response?
And I might have to say some things that y'all don't want to hear. Y'all don't like when I talk about our icons.
Who's y'all?
I mean, if there is a legit criticism of George, I'm not afraid to hear it. Okay.
It's just gonna be a rumble.
Listen, I don't know in opposition to George Jackson.
All right, well let's finish.
I'm King Jackson.
Oh man, I'm just admitting a bias. That's all. Look, man, look. There's plenty to be critical. Everybody makes mistakes, but I'm just admitting a bias. That's all.
Okay.
Man.
All right.
Diallo, you highlighted.
You're fighting a capitalism. You're fighting capitalism as an LLC.
Right.
You call yourself YouTube academia. What more of an oxymoron could there be? What more of a contradiction could there be? And you do it in anonymity. I mean, I think we need to have a new rule. If we don't know who you are, no more comments.
With the British little joints.
With the British royal wig.
Jared, he has a point. Jared, you're against air pollution, yet you're walking around breathing.
I know.
You know, if you think the air is so bad, why are you breathing? How you gonna get out there every day? You wake up and breathe, but then you want to tell us the air quality is bad.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You can't fight air pollution while you're breathing, can you?
You're right.
Got your ass.
I never really thought about that way.
Got your ass. Got him.
Got him.
Oh man.
Yeah, so
man. That is hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Yo. Anyway.
Look, man. I love to everybody, man. This is beautiful.
Is the argument over the label and degree of fascism in the Dem party purely semantic? Both parties are repressive, doesn't have the same ring though.
Semantics fucking matter. Why do people say it's semantics as if that shuts it down? Semantics fucking matter. We are oratory and literary culture. Like semantics, meaning and definition and labels really fucking matter. And everybody that says semantics and labels don't matter, I wish they should only be able to shop at grocery stores that have no labels and nothing written, no definitions. Like,
and they're not allowed to talk or communicate in any way. Because no form of communication means anything.
It is a semantical and labeling and definition argument. But I think that's very important. I don't know why when some people say, oh, that's just semantics, that shuts down the discussion.
Mic drop.
Woo! That is
shout out for the Tuesday. $2.
Z's Way. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Profoundly shackled.
Sharpton, thou art loosed. He's loosed.
Nah, man, Daruba and others have been calling him out and have shown him who he is for a long time. Daruba, remember we even went over it at one point with Daruba on air, with Daruba from prison is writing New York Times, getting quoted in the New York Times, calling Sharpton out as a fraudulent representative of Black freedom struggles. Yeah, I mean, but I will say this does feel even more egregious than what I'm used to from Sharpton. I have to say.
And you know what's funny about this motherfucker? You know what's most fucked up about Al Sharpton? His whole identity and status in politics came as a result of protest.
Yeah.
He's a motherfucking protester.
Yeah.
He's been at the front lines, locked arm in arm, walking and marching with protest, and got the motherfucking sit-ins.
But he did say
was walking up and down the street with megaphones. All those behaviors. When they talk about don't forget where you come from. Don't forget where you come from was a person. You don't remember when he got locked up in Vieques? And because we all forget how
he did all of that. No, of course.
Al Sharpton, when they were against the bombing in Vieques, that's how he lost that weight. He went on a hunger strike.
He was everywhere. To your point, he was everywhere. Our whole youth.
Right. People were saying the same thing about Sharpton. Look
yes.
at they're protesting. He's a rabble rouser. But all of a sudden, so he got it good.
But remember, he said in 2008, when Obama got elected, he publicly said, "I will not protest this president." So he started. He signaled the shift he's taken, to its logical conclusion. He said, "I'm done."
Well, Lateef says he has 0%.
But my point is, that was him. To me, what I'm saying is that was his Jay-Z Black album, where now Jay-Z is Sean Carter. It's the second half of the career. It's him saying that is over. Now I'm moving on to MSNBC and Republican-funded Democratic Party presidential campaigns and telling people when you protest Israel, you January 6th.
But that also speaks to my emphasis of definitions, meaning, semantics. Because breaking windows over here and breaking windows over there, you can be breaking windows on behalf of fascism and dictatorship and white nationalism and Christian evangelical fascism. You can break windows for liberation. But if you just say all window breaking, January 6th, anti-genocide protest, it's all the same. That's why I think you need meaning, because you do have people that are simple enough to say, hey, any broken window, any blocking of traffic, any failure to disperse, it's all rioting. It's all disruption, and make no distinction. January 6th, anti-imperialist encampments, all the same. So that's why, as we sit here and talk about, it don't matter, it's all fascist. It don't matter, it's all riots. It's all protests. All protests are not equal. You have to distinguish the ideology, the motivations, the methodology, and the ultimate goals and agendas.
Manny Niles sent us a video. Can we play it? I got it pulled up. Can we play it real quick? This is part of we'll keep this as part of the Q&A.
I'm going to gloss over the anti-Semitism, but let's go.
This is related. So this is just quoting. This is what his bitch ass said after he done sat up with Biden supporting the invasion of Haiti, after he done everything on his power to make sure black people have no power. He got the nerve to say that protesters are the same as J6 reactionaries. So this is the new talking point, apparently.
I appreciate folks exercising their
AI creative
First Amendment rights, but we're not in session in Washington, so I got all day. I got all day to be with my Nan family. So
National Action Network, Sharpton. There it is. There we go.
Let me say this.
I love me.
This is our third day of the convention. We done had the governors, 3 governors, all kinds of.
And that's Hakeem Jeffries, right?
Yeah. And none of you paid rent-a-toms disrupted them.
Rent-a-toms. Oh.
So any of y'all got something to say, jump up now while I'm up here, because I'm going to show you something.
What? Skinny Al
You
calling
gonna wait
Skinny Al's a
till
wild
we
boy.
get
Hey,
a man
rewind
on
that,
his way to
rewind
be
that,
speaker
rewind
to
that
have
to
a fit.
the
You didn't
interpreter.
say nothing when these major white disrupted them. So any of y'all got something to say, jump up now while I'm up here, because I'm going to show you something. You going to wait till we get a man on his way to be speaker to have a fit. You didn't say nothing when these major whites was up here. Jump up here right now.
What's he gonna do?
You got guts when a black man stand up. We had Biden here, you had nothing to say.
Is that true?
You're a bunch of rented Uncle Tom.
Rented Uncle Tom's.
Yeah, he's a
Damn.
freak.
And let the church say amen.
The word Tom around like it don't mean nothing.
Wow.
It's Tom. Yeah, they're a Tom. Everybody, any black person you don't like is a Tom or a coon, regardless of their politics, their motivations. Tom. Just, let's just throw words around. But can I say something?
Wow.
Can I say something? The hood ain't equal opportunity in its denunciation of black Zionists. Y'all been giving a lot of black furs, especially if they can rap or they got a wicked jumper shot. The hood be giving mad passes to black Zionists. You know, if they not corny with a fade that was a cut a bit too high. Y'all mad inconsistent.
This is what he said after the BAP PSL disruption, after he had them dragged out. Oh, BAP and PSL did that? Go ahead, BAP and PSL.
But then why didn't they get up when he was standing there like he said? Why didn't they
I just coined that, by the way. When y'all get together, when you do stuff together, it's BAPSL. So shout out to BAPSL for getting dragged out. And if anybody, forgive me for missing this if I have indeed, but if anybody has can send me a link to where Dr. Leonard Jeffries is responding to questions about his nephew and his nephew's politics, please send it to me.
They politics ain't.
I mean, Jeffries endorsed Obama. I think when y'all want to talk about that very moment, Dr. Jeffries
who highlighted this right here?
Obama.
Diallo, was this you too?
Yes.
The Khazars control the entire money system. Their reach is long. Oh wow!
Go ahead.
I haven't heard about the Khazars in a long time. They lost 13 tribes. I got the book downstairs somewhere.
I'm not going off, but I like I said, this again, meaning and comprehension and definitions and semantics fucking matter, because you can't descend from anti-Zionism into anti-Semitism if you don't understand.
No, but it's not anti-Semitic, because the Khazars are the white folks that came down from the Caucasus and took over the label unjustly of the Jews.
Is another word for Jews, just like woke is a code word for black.
Oh, it is?
No, I got the book downstairs.
It was multiracial wokeness.
Oh, no. I got some of the, I used to, look, man, I used to be in them black bookstores heavy.
Yeah.
All that stuff is in there. Behold the Pale
but a lot
Horse,
of them
all
books
that
from the
stuff
black
is in there.
bookstores,
Hey,
you
why
also
Rob be
find
hating on us, man?
a
What
lot
Rob
of those texts that you find in the black bookstores are also very prominent in the white nationalist circles.
Now that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Exact same books by the exact same authors.
Hey, Rob don't like us, I don't think. Rob says
a lot
this
of books that
very
the Nation
bold.
of Islam reading list are also very popular amongst white nationalists and Christian evangelicals.
The sister's very bold for coming on this platform. Anything generating wealth or some encouragement of entrepreneurship, EYL is dead set against.
Look, I love that Rob wants to tune in every week to hate watch, but it's clear he does so without wanting to pay any sufficient levels of attention. But that's all right. That's all right.
He said, Rob, save it for tomorrow.
Rob, save it.
Hey, Dave, we gotta invite Dave on this motherfucker one time. Dave gotta come on the show.
I do think, because
Dave
this is real.
I'm gonna tell you, I like this guy. I like
That
this
was
guy a lot.
Wait, that we haven't
Matter of
broke
fact,
this out in a
they
minute.
should give us our new name for the platform because that dude.
That was
Yeah,
that.
listen. That's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
That
Dave is talented. I like that guy.
yeah, he Big Pun is serious.
Hey, I'm about tired of the
that was a
vegan
good
slander
one.
too. By the way, listen to some wild shit. Like if
How is
if
that
you,
slander?
because it's
Why you
almost.
gonna take it as offense?
Well, I don't know if it's slander, but it's always like, don't everybody request what they want to eat or not want to eat, or don't like. I don't get that.
How is this comment slander?
Well,
It
you might not
sounds
take
complimentary. It
Well,
sounds like
maybe.
he's saying we stand on business.
but I don't think that's what he's saying. I
Facts.
think he's saying that we are quick to let people know. I mean, I don't
Should we
think.
not be? Are we? Is it?
Well, I
is
don't
it-
think so.
It's
I
not
don't
as
think-
accurate as set. Huh?
No, I mean, I think not quick, but when it's appropriate. Like if you don't want to eat certain shit, you'll be like, yo, I don't eat that.
How long does it take before you let somebody know that?
Well, no quicker than other people who say I don't eat vegan shit. That means no quicker. I think it's the same shit. I don't.
I mean, this is the standard critique that all oppressed groups have to suffer when they speak up for themselves.
That's true.
The dominant society want to be like, oh, there they go again. There they go again, playing
I
the
think there's a
vegan
lot
card.
of good shit being said out here that we're taking the wrong way. I like that little Gaza shit. I like
The
that.
little Gaza
To
was
let
nice.
people
That was
know,
good.
I'm gonna take this as a compliment because hell yeah, I'm gonna let you know. Don't put no animal carcasses in front of me.
Well, listen.
Please
I
don't.
slapped a man because he tried to sell me a plate of ham.
Our greatest prophet said, "When I eat, what you eat don't
Atheists
make me
be
sick."
vocal as fuck and be quick. Get on everybody's nerves. Shit.
All right, shout out to the $9, $9.99, AJ Johnson.
Bristol Eatons.
People dropping.
How we doing for time and stories? What's the plan?
We got one more story. That's why I was trying to run through this.
Well, because I also, if we do have to wrap, okay, I'll save it for. I'll just
maybe
do
Diallo got to
something
go
else.
early. All right.
Well,
It's not early. What is the show time?
Bro, we at 1:50.
Y'all accusing me of leaving early and showing up late? I'm glad I don't work shoulder to shoulder with y'all. Y'all them cats at your job be standing by the clock when it ain't even your job.
You working for the people.
got here?
Oh, I used to hover by the time clock. You can't put your punch card in yet.
All this,
Go
all
back
this
to
money
work.
you got
Wait, that's
coming
not
in,
so
and you ready to
you
leave?
clocking in for somebody else.
Listen,
Stop crying about me. You want to make it public, and you could DM
Straight
me.
up though, straight up,
Y'all
one of the
leave
biggest
early. Y'all
one of the
right here
biggest
late.
arguments I had back in the day at the job was over that, and somebody snitched on me getting help with the time card, and I was like, you motherfucker.
Right.
I was like, how dare you be worried about who punches my card, when the card when the card gets all of that. You know, when all of that.
Call us on
How
our day
dare
off.
you?
We getting the money now, and then look at this.
All right,
You
go
don't
ahead.
want the money.
Thank you, Raj.
You
want the money or you
let
don't want the
Geechee
money?
do that to me every week.
Stop it.
I'm here.
Jared, the first person to say that you always late. I just call you a diva because I think you make an interest. But anyway.
No, I don't know. I think that teeters on sexist, but okay.
Wait, what? Diva don't have
Heard
to
what
be
I
gender.
said.
Thank you,
It's not
Darren.
gender.
Thank you, Darren.
All right, keep it up. Yeah, Darren, appreciate you for the 20s. All this money we get, he trying to help you get around the city.
Washita Wellness Center. Thank you.
$199. That means we gotta do some yoga when we get to Baltimore.
You keep trying to get us in a
I'm
room
just
somewhere. Listen,
I'm
Geechee,
just trying to get y'all to do some things.
I'm not working out with you.
Hey.
I'm not doing no yoga. Hot box,
Ain't nobody said hot yoga. See what I mean? See what I mean? Nobody said
No,
nothing
the
about hot
answer
yoga.
is no.
Salahuddin.
get a drink or
Much
something.
respect, Jared Diallo. I'm a proud atheist and new member of AAPRP and BAP. Thanks to BPM. Right on. Thank you very
Right on.
much.
Vocal
Yes.
atheists. Atheists
Show
are quick
up
to
in
let
there.
you know.
Show up in them streets then.
Vocal atheists. Jeffries
Jeffries
helped to
helped
push Charles Barron. Oh, really? Thank you, by the way. I'm in Queen Badwanman. I'm in Queen Badwanman.
Batwan. I hope
Batman.
ain't I hope ain't the
Batman.
Jamaicans like another 20.
Namdi, thank you very much. Geechee, come to the
Geechee
atheist
doesn't want to
side.
acknowledge that he's an atheist because he's one of them dudes that go up and say, "Sister, your aura
Ah.
is resonating."
He can't mess up
So
his rap.
he's one of
He
them
can't mess up his
spiritual
rap.
hustlers. Yeah, that's why. That's why he
listen,
don't want to come out because he's
because
one of them dudes.
because
like,
I don't have to because
maybe
I don't
we
have
can
to
form
shit
a
on somebody for
cipher.
what they say they believe. You gotta
You
give me
know,
this
the
rap. That's all
ancestors
you
put
gotta
it
say.
on my heart to share a word with you, my queen.
Hey,
That's
listen.
why he don't want to come out the closet as an atheist, because he won't be able to use that hustle no more. I see you wrapping your shit up, putting, sparkly thread in your dreads and shit out there, with henna on. So I think that's why he won't come out the closet, because he's one of them spiritual hustlers.
I'm open for a conversation all the time. I ain't closed to it, and I ain't
See,
really put myself
like
in
I'm
boxes.
open,
You know what I mean?
ladies. He's open, lady, for a conversation. He's one of them spiritual hustlers.
Nah,
And that's why he won't come out and be
Listen,
like,
bro, you
none of
ain't
that
got to
shit is
bully.
real.
You
I
might
can't
not
front.
bully me into saying that
I have
am
to
or am
support
not.
Geechee in that endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, who didn't
I
do
can't
it?
hate
Who
on
in
it.
the conscious community didn't go through that phase? But I'm saying, I'm just gonna out him. He tell about me coming late and leaving early, so I'm telling on you.
Oh, okay.
What did Kendrick Lamar say? Don't tell lies on me, and I won't tell the truth about you.
I didn't hear that bar, but okay, sure.
You didn't hear Euphoria?
I don't listen.
Apparently, I actually haven't heard the track either, but I've heard.
Listen,
Actually,
Diallo said
you
we
know
got
how
four
old I
terms.
am? No, you know how old I am? I went and read the lyrics.
Let me get my skateboard, my backpack, and my headphones and get away from y'all, because y'all.
And then you know what else I had to do, Diallo? I had to go to YouTube to get people to translate. I needed YouTube to translate and decode all the because I didn't know all the references. I didn't know all the references.
Let me see
Man,
what this thing said.
No, seriously, if you weren't,
it's his big me.
But if you weren't really paying attention at the time, you wouldn't have gotten all the references in Ether or in Jay-Z's Super Ugly and all. Like, you have to know what the actual references mean. So I needed help with that. So I did. I went and read it and looked up a little help, but I have not actually heard the track. So, that's how old I am. That's my
I gotta get away from y'all, man.
Hip hop confessions.
Y'all bringing me down.
I mean, I just wasn't in a rush to listen to Kendrick. I don't know what to tell you. So listen, we got two more stories, and Diallo trying to run us off the platform. We got the
I got the did you want the Ice Cube
world or the Mayday? What y'all want to do, Mayday or crypto?
Well, I thought. What about the Ice Cube? This Ice Cube Zionist story?
I was just saying, black
Diallo
people
threw that in there.
Oh,
he don't follow the run sheet. He just do his own thing.
No, I'm saying that some black people, when they do Zionism, we get outraged, and other people do Zionism and we don't say shit. We're not equal opportunity denouncers. That's all I'm saying. If you're popular, if you're trending, you can do all the Zionism. Beyonce.
Oh, this is from 2020. Okay, I see. Okay,
and so there are a lot of black Zionists out here that we're giving a pass to. That's all I'm pointing out. A lot.
Wait, you said people didn't trash Ice Cube because he was getting a lot of trash hate, wasn't he?
I don't remember him. I don't
know of any his public appearances where he was called out.
You was calling him out, but there was a bunch of people.
And I get hate.
Wait. Wasn't there a bunch of people calling him out when he met with Trump and some other stuff? Even though he still got the big three, like he was
even though he still got the big three. Look, I gotta stop hanging around all these. Oh, y'all bringing me down. You don't know Ice Cube is pop, and Ice Cube is more known as an entrepreneur and a hip hop mogul than a rapper. But he's just about to do another. Ain't he working on another Mount Westmore album?
Mount Westmore
with WC.
Mount Westmore.
No, not Dub C. That was the Slaughter, because he don't mess with Mac 10 no more. But he's doing like him, Snoop Dogg, and another West Coast. I don't know, man. I don't do West Coast.
You be in these rap streets because I ain't never heard.
I'm a backpack rapper. I'm not Nike Cortez hip hop. I don't fuck with that shit. But I'm just saying, Cube is still immensely popular.
So wait a minute. All right. What progressive rap is being produced in defense of Palestinians right now? Is anybody doing that? This was raised, I think, on the remix the other day.
You talking about like mainstream people or
anywhere? No, even when Diallo said backpack, it made me think of that question. So even the so-called non-mainstream left of center, has anybody who's
Well, I know
I mean, does
some
it include
rappers
that
who have
Palestinian
spoken up.
rapper?
I don't know if they did songs, but like Boots Riley from the Coup has been a staunch anti-Zionist from the beginning of his career in the early 90s.
No, I mean like right now, like who's producing music right now that's in defense of those Palestinian.
You can't ask me that. I'm like a
Oh, I
wine
don't.
drinker.
Okay.
If it ain't
Oh.
aged at least a decade, I'm not gonna dabble in it. Unless
because I thought you were up with the hot newness.
Unless it's I only pay attention
okay.
when they dissing each other. Like ball chasers. I only hear about ball chasers when they're involved in some scandal completely unrelated to ball chasing. I don't know. I got a real weird media diet.
I mean, you got
MC Abdul from Palestine. Okay. What is no name? What does OFC mean? What does that mean? Of course. Is that what that means? But does No Name have a track like in defense of Palestine? Is that what you're saying? Billy Woods? I don't know who that is.
I mean,
wow.
But listen,
these
you
folks
can't name any modern song about any topic. It's just I'm sure it's out there.
LA Russ. Well, no, because it was in the context of all these rap beefs that I forgot, was it Kamau or Kim or somebody said that they have all the time to write these verses against one another. Why aren't they who's saying what? And then, because I asked about DJ Khaled being Palestinian, and of course we wouldn't expect. But I was just curious, and so I thought I would just ask about it. There's a Palestinian making an album. I don't know what
it's somewhere out there.
Somewhere. There's a woman in Somalia.
Yo,
my daughter the other day, my oldest said, "Do you know this song?" I said, "Do I know this song?" I introduced you to Sade. I was like, "How dare you not credit me with your Sade, your nascent Sade awareness?" Anyway, sorry about that.
No, but it's MC Abdul. He out there. He a rapper.
But I don't know what that has to do with
SZA has a track.
Rap beefs.
She's a daughter. She's a household favorite among my children.
SZA?
Yeah. I tried to.
Mortal Technique. I'm not gonna listen to him until he stops using the N-word.
Oh wow! SZA brought out the Palestinian flag in her concert. Word. Maybe I do need to let my children. So I asked my daughter, like, I felt bad she didn't get a couple things. And I was like, if I could really spoil you for real, what would you want? And she said, take me to see SZA in Barcelona.
In Barcelona? You got it like that?
No, I don't. I was like, I said,
ask those type of questions.
No, I said, no, I told her to ask, like, I told her, think big, like, think like if money was not an option, what would you do? And she sent me the link to that festival.
Nah.
And she's at a festival.
Nah.
You think I'm lying that we do have it like that? All right, well, whatever.
My sons have never. If I ask my son that same question, he asked for a package of socks. That's not.
Well, so her first request was something like that, and I said, no, think big. I was like, I want to hear what you would actually want if we, because I don't know, maybe I could have made something happen, but not that.
In Barcelona, man, listen.
Oh, because she looked it up, and she looked up her tour schedule and showed that in June 1st. I said we can't do it because it would cost like $7,000. Harm my no, I would have done it. Hell no. If we could have done it, I would have absolutely no. That would have been Instagram floss time. I took my daughter to Barcelona.
Take her away.
And I'm saying it, Barcelona, to see.
Even think about.
But what I did do is I found that SZA's going to be at a concert in Pennsylvania later this same summer. So I was like, maybe we could do that one. But now that I know she's bringing out Palestinian flags like that, we might have to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Now maybe we will go to Barcelona.
She was in New Zealand.
I'll be in Brazil later this year.
See, there you go. After talking all that shit, there you go, boy. You're gonna be in Brazil.
In the trenches, in the favela.
I just saw there's a massive attack going on in the favelas.
Yeah. Well,
the water
don't get me started, because let me just recenter myself. Geechee, say a prayer for me.
I ain't got none of them for you, brother.
Oh, sis is a Muslim? I didn't know that.
I'm sick of everybody converting to Islam. What the hell? I got to work harder on my devangelism.
Yeah, my kids is bougie. I was like, bougie like me? You damn right. I mean, why? What? And goddamn right.
I'm mad at my kids. I'm mad at my
or not?
sons right now just because of your daughter made such a request. My sons are gonna be I'm gonna have an attitude all day. Like there's a black child out here who asked for concert tickets overseas. Now I'm mad at my sons just imagining them. You know.
Yeah, man.
My sons don't even listen to they listen to artists like Little Vomit. You know. Like, who's that you listening to? Oh, Dad, this is pancreatic cancer. He's real good. Like, weird shit. I mean, like, goddamn.
People to chat like, who?
Yeah, exactly. That's the shit I can hear coming out of bedrooms in my own home, man. I can't even be at peace in my own space. Burn a candle and some sage for me, please.
Yep. Does Jared not care about how bougie niggas are historically anti-black? Nope. I don't give one bit of fuck. Can't you tell by the body of my work? I don't care. YouTube academia. I don't give a fuck.
I noticed that Geechee gets real quiet and I can't see his hands every time YouTube academia posts.
Wait, what?
No, I put that one up. I saw that one because I saw my name.
I'm saying you posted it up, but you didn't. Who typed it?
Oh. All right, come on, man. Come on.
He's using one hand. He's using one hand.
It's coming from a brother who has he has another account called Diallo #1 fan, and he's literally trying to.
One thing, just real quick.
I haven't seen him in quite a
your
while.
account. Log in.
Can we at least do one more segment real quick?
On the run sheet, which one?
Because I did want to at least mention the May Day piece real quick. I'm a Jewish atheist. Does that mean I missed it.
Geechee it down. Geechee is a tiger.
I'm a Jewish atheist. Does that mean I'm not Jewish? Uh-oh. All right, hey, we got to take another quick. We got a segment break.
Let's move to a new and higher segment. Unearn your liberation.
Is that DC bounce me? What is that?
No, that is not DC.
That's not DC.
Go-Go? Is that Go-Go? What is
that? That is definitely not Go-Go. Shame on you. So I just wanted to shout out to
try something else.
Shout out to the ambiguously black community in history, T. Thomas Fortune, and to the history of the May Day and May 4th struggle, the history of labor struggle in this country. May 1st is celebrated as May Day. Of course, May 4th, tomorrow, is the anniversary of the infamous May Day, Haymarket Massacre, May 4th, 1886 in Chicago. I have much prepared on this. I just wanted to at least raise it up and at least have some acknowledgement that this celebration takes place May 1st each year. It has a long history in European culture, celebrated in Roman times in the festival Floor of Flowers, of pagan cultures, so it's appropriate for us atheists. And as things became Christianized, it became underpinning for Christian holidays. However, May Day itself remained and is still celebrated in many cultures around the world. In the 19th century, the emergence of workers' rights demands and manifestos. May Day also became a commemoration of those lives lost in the Haymarket Massacre of 1886. And so, T. Thomas Fortune,
fascist.
a long time, absolutely. Okay. Long time black journalist who wrote himself on race and economics, is acknowledged here as part of that history that would be part of the labor movement, labor struggle. They connect that legacy through Benjamin Harrison Fletcher and his role in the IWW, also known as the Wobblies. In other words, as blackpast.org, I think, does us the favor of helping us remember, Black people have always been involved in the labor struggle, the intersection, if I may borrow that briefly, between race and class has always been a centerpiece. And I just wanted to quickly, that was it.
So yeah,
Salute
what I was
to that
seeing,
struggle.
what I was seeing is that the International Labor Day, and I don't know if it should be focused on worker instead of labor. I know there's some negative connotations of calling things labor, I think, but
Really?
yeah, I thought it was some type of better word of worker or something like that. But in terms of how people deem it, they said it's like a communist day or a socialist day, and that's why the U.S. don't really celebrate or recognize it. But when you go to other countries that are on the socialist process, maybe even like a Venezuela, Cuba, and places like that, it's more so celebrated. In fact, when I was looking into this article, in Venezuela, they raised the minimum wage. Obviously, they still call it minimum wage out to 30% on this day. And then they are still trying to fight off the economic war or the sanctions from the U.S. Right here, you see the sister in Spanish talking about how all of the states in Venezuela are simultaneously celebrating it, and
Well,
how none of the media, the mainstream media, international media, would acknowledge that. You know, there's so much support to the celebration, but yeah, I think what I've been reading is how literally the U.S. cannot celebrate it or acknowledge it because it's so embedded in its capitalist logic, and it's only for.
Well, I think that May Day is not just exclusive to the socialist or countries, because I mean places like France, imperialist capitalist country, any country that especially has a strong labor unions or a history of organized labor, because I mean France had a huge May Day celebration. So even in Western Europe, May Day is recognized just about everywhere in every industrial country outside the United States, even though it started here.
Yeah. I mean, it did said like the day celebrates for people who are focused on reform, revolution, people who are in political discussions and petitions, but everybody except the capitalist class wants to celebrate it. So I guess in a country like that where there is a strong, I guess, worker struggle.
Well, I see like a lot of the discussion, even when I just now do a Google search of the phrase May Day, a lot of it is reference more to the pagan festival with flowers and seasonal stuff. It's not always associated with the labor struggle. So there is that ongoing effort to suppress anything critical of capitalism and pro-worker and anything that would identify workers as a class.
So since
Can I
Diallo
throw something out there?
Yeah, but since we don't pretext, like you said, why don't you pretext us about the history of May Day, Diallo?
Huh?
For those who don't know about May Day, can you tell us? You normally do that to us, so.
Well, May Day, you had the Haymarket riots where there was a anarcho-syndicalist movement, and they had a slogan: 8 to work, 8 to rest, and 8 for leisure, or something like that. They wanted to break the day down into 8-8-8. So they wanted an 8-hour work day, an 8 hours to pursue your own interests and goals, and 8 hours, because at that time there were no labor laws. There were no restrictions on child labor. There was no OSHA or safety standards. So you had the IWW and the anarcho and communist movement. So they had a labor dispute, and there was a firebomb thrown at a rally at Haymarket Square. And to this day, they've never found out who threw the firebomb, but they convicted some. They just went around gathering up known labor organizers and known anarchists and did a mass trial and mass execution. And that was and the police opened fire. And the police, basically, it was a peaceful protest, and the police provoked violence and then called the protesters violent, and then went about murdering and persecuting. And many other U.S. protesters got deported without trial. They just took them up and dropped them in Russia. They were like, "You want to be a communist?" And they tossed them in Russia. I think can't believe I can't remember his name. Howard Zinn gives a really, really good overview and discussion on both the Haymarket in particular, but the United States has had the most violent, bloody, in terms of body count, explosions, Molotovs, and the United States has the most militant and violent labor struggle in the world, in all industrialized nations.
And wasn't Lucy Parsons' husband killed in that bombing?
Yep.
Lucy Parsons' husband, he was killed in the bombing, but she continued to fight for it.
Right. And again, like I said, they believe that it was a saboteur or what they call a guy. What they call
agent provocateur?
Agent provocateur, yeah. I was called that by one of your people.
Who's your people? Which the you're talking about?
Black Power Media.
Oh.
Person once in a meeting years and years and years ago. 20 years ago.
20 years.
In a meeting, and said the last time I heard someone speak like that, they were a paid agent of the state. I'm like, well, goddamn, that's hurtful. Yeah.
Sucks, man. It sucks.
Agent baiting. I was agent baited.
All right.
But anyway, go read the chapter on Howard Zinn on American labor. It's actually quite ironic that the United States workers have been so pacified, and when the United States had some of the most militant labor uprisings in the history of the industrialized world.
So, but also, even though they didn't, you said they don't know who did it, those men were convicted of it, even though without evidence. Like they had literally no evidence, but they all were convicted despite the massive worldwide campaign. So there was a campaign around the world, I guess similar to George Floyd or even bigger, to prevent the people from being killed, but they still was killed and charged with murder without evidence.
These is all white folks. This is white folks on white folks. And I guess they hadn't invented white privilege yet. You know,
it's an evolving process.
Yeah, white privilege just, took a day off. Just like these white kids getting their head busted now.
Jared, before we go, I would like for you to share your thoughts on your latest Negro crypto world news. I did see they mentioned you in that article.
Back up. Everything Jared said has been debunked. Crypto is trending up. We coming back.
We are.
Find out my flash drive where I put my NFT.
We up.
Sure. So this article here that just came out in the Sacramento, California, The Observer, The Truth About Crypto, What Black Investors Should Know. It does mention me, but which is how I ended up being made aware of it. But more important than mentioning me is that it says that I'm right. No, I'm saying no. More importantly is that is what it says about, for me, the accumulation of the coin, which is why. But anyway, the global cryptocurrency market is projected to reach $1.6 trillion by 2030, which I think is interesting that is already matching what is purported to be the buying power of Black America, which even if that were real, which it is not, should be a sign of just what that could actually mean in the world's market, in the world's economy, or the national economy even. But it says here they're quoting Algernon Austin, who is the head of the Economic Policy Institute, who I've interviewed and whose work I followed for a number of years. said here, quote, "They're really a bad type of investment that is crypto in that generally speaking, there's no real product or service behind it," said Algernon Austin, Director for Race and Economic Justice at the Center for Economic and Policy Research. "When you buy crypto, you're really just betting that other people are going to buy crypto. The hype has brought in a lot of people who don't fully understand it." And this is so the article talks about how Black people are overrepresented in the space. We've talked a lot about that here, how Black people are underbanked and all these other kind of things. It says here, within the Black community, virtual currencies have symbolized to some degree of freedom, even autonomy from central banking system that for centuries has been subject to political decision making. But what this article does not include, that we've talked a lot about, is that it says here, virtual currencies have symbolized to some. No, they have been imposed as a symbol of freedom through mass marketing campaigns, through that Black capitalist media podcasting ecosphere. So it's not just, it didn't just emerge sort of out of nothingness. But the real point is that they get to here is that there's evidence that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies actually maintain wealth inequality in virtual banking. A 2021 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that the top 1,000 Bitcoin investors owned 3 million Bitcoins, or roughly $200 billion, and that 10,000 Bitcoin investors owned a combined 5 million Bitcoins, or roughly $334 billion in today's figures. This is equivalent to the generational wealth of the nation's oldest industrial families. And then when it says here that some of which as of now, the top Bitcoin holder is purported to be the anonymous Satoshi Nakamoto, who is black in some circles, which is only in that fictitious Black blockchain world, which is where I ended up being quoted earlier in the story. But
oh, never mind.
You said keep that up.
Because so
yeah.
What I saw earlier at the top, it says 5% of Americans who have heard of cryptocurrencies are unsure about their safety and reliability. Here and in other countries, cryptocurrency regulation is on the rise. And then the biggest part is the caution against currencies for those looking to make money immediately. If you're asking people who got no damn money, who need money immediately, this ain't for you. And then also, like, the public policy has created and maintained racial wealth inequality, as you were saying, and we need public policy to reduce racial wealth inequality, which is said in that article. And then in terms of Akil, who talks about all this math, and looking at the math, those 10,000 Bitcoin investors, if they cash their money in, which is around actually 334 billion, I was kind of looking at numbers, that means 10,000 people will have $24.5 million. There's 333 million people in the US, and 41.89 million is living in poverty, and there's 813 billionaires. So if you just lay all those numbers out, when people talk about doing math, I feel like folks are wasting their time and they're not being realistic, and they're trying to avoid those numbers. But so again, the main point of like the deregulation and all this other kind of rhetoric is spilt. But constantly they'll say, like, if you need immediate money, right, this is where you shouldn't be spending your time. But I feel like they avoid that every time.
Well, again, my only point in this is that without even fully pretending to understand everything about the economy, blockchain, Bitcoin, or whatever, is that all of the reporting, all of the messaging ran almost identically parallel to what is traditionally marketed to Black people via Black capitalist mythology and in promises of investment. And then more importantly, as we just showed there, again, the accumulation of the wealth in the top holders of whatever the investment property is. So this idea that Black people can use this as a way of closing gaps and catching up and as the article just said there again, this has just been, as Austin is quoted as saying there, this is just another way to get the holders of those coins to have the value of those coins go up when there's no product, there's no value to it other than the ability to get somebody else to invest to make your previous investment more valuable. So that's for me where the confirmation comes in. That's all.
As you go cash in some Bitcoin to fly to Brazil this
Barcelona.
weekend. Oh, Spain.
Barcelona.
It's not. Damn. Why did I think
Barcelona?
So you going to
Barcelona, Spain, España. Yeah, España.
You might have to divest of one of your NFTs as well to afford that one. I thought you were heading south. I don't know why I heard.
No. I'm selling I'm selling not even all. I just need to get rid of a couple coins here or there, a couple some NFT. We got in fact, this right here is the EYL NFT. You can get it. You can get it for just a small investment.
That's nice. Who did that? Huh?
I was gonna say Allen Iverson.
So that's Geechee in the middle.
No, it's what I put in there. I said the podcast is called Earn Your Liberation. There are 3 hosts, and it's Black Radical Politics, and that's what we got.
But everybody got hair, so that means if you got hair, you got radical politics. If
it's an idealized version, AI.
That's an idealized version. Hair, melanin, all the things that I've lost.
I'm the one in the top right corner. I'm the one in the top right corner. That look like Diallo.
AI.
That look like Diallo in the middle, and this is Jared chin jawbone right here. So me on the with the headphones, with the mic, the glasses, Diallo.
But more importantly, just invest. Just click the link in the chat and invest and get your NFT, and there you go.
Hey, I'll be seeing El Chancho keep trying to, I've been seeing them in these chats doing their thing. It's interesting. But keep it up, man. You're doing a great job.
What? I don't fuck with AI, man. I'm an ethical consumer.
So, all right. So, good people. Are we wrapping up? Anything else we want to get to? Anything we missed?
Not a nail, not a.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming through. Please do make sure that you are, if at all possible, on hand. Nomu, May 19th. Links into all the details in the show description. Come on through. Celebrate Malcolm's birthday with our first live in-person EYL event. And if we all good, peace if you're willing to fight for it. Catch you next week, same time, same place for more.
You got to earn your liberation.